You ready? Great. Whenever you're ready, please.
Are you gonna do a read-on first and then I'll swear him in, or?
All right.
That's...
We are going on the record. The time is 9:32. Today's date is October 17th, 2023. This is media unit number 1 of the video recorded deposition of Robert Bob Peterson. This is taken in the matter of Trissa Froiling versus Milwaukee Public Schools. This case is filed in the state of Wisconsin, Department of Workforce Development, Equal Rights Division, case number CR 2022-01358. The deposition is being held at Cross Law Firm, located at 845 North 11th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My name is Mike DeGell, and I am the videographer for today's deposition. At this time, I will ask counsel to state their name, appearance affiliation for the record, then the court reporter will swear in the witness.
Appearing on behalf of the complainant, Teresa Falleron, is Ben Hitchcock Cross Law Firm.
Christopher Van Briesen Roper on behalf of the respondents as well as Mr. Peterson.
All right, sir, I need to swear you in. Will you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you given a deposition before?
No.
Okay. So hopefully how this will work is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. At the end of each question, you will have an opportunity to answer. If your attorney needs to object, he will do so hopefully before you respond. The main thing here is that we're not talking over each other, you, me, Mr. Reardon, anybody, so that we can have a clean record for the court reporter. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. If at any time you need a break, I'm fine with that. My preference is to have you completely answer that question and then take a break. But if there's any other, I'm happy to be flexible. Will that also work?
Yep.
Great. Okay. And how would you like me to address you today?
Bob.
Bob. Okay. Now, do you have any connection with Milwaukee Public Schools?
I had connections.
Okay. What are those connections?
I worked with Milwaukee Public Schools as a paraprofessional and then a teacher. And then I was on the school board for 4 years.
Okay. And what positions did you hold on the school board?
I was the last 2 years of my term, I was president.
Okay. So how many times were you elected?
One time.
Okay. And did you run for re-election the second time?
No, I did not.
Okay. Why not?
Because I believe a number of people should take public policy formation.
Okay. So can you give us a rough estimate about when you were on the school board, what time frame we're talking about?
I was elected 2019, and I left the school board April 2023, 4 years, in terms of 4 years.
Okay, so just this spring, is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did I understand that you were a teacher working for Milwaukee Public Schools?
Yes.
About how long were you a teacher?
I was a teacher from 1980 to 2011.
Okay, so are you a retired teacher now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have any awards or accolades?
Yes.
Okay. Can you, so for example, I've looked on your website here and I have noticed that, for example, it says that you started Escuela de Fraternity. Is that correct?
I was one of the co-starters.
What is that, what does starting Escuela de Fraternity mean?
It meant encouraging the school board and the administration to allow a group of teachers and staff to start a school that had been vacated.
Okay. And is there anything special about that school?
It was Wisconsin's first two-way bilingual school.
Okay. And I think I heard you say dual bilingual, is that right?
Two-way.
Two-way,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
I know there's important distinctions there, so I want to get it correct. Okay. So that's different, for example, than immersion, right?
Yes.
How is that different than immersion?
In most immersion schools, it's English dominant students. In a two-way bilingual school, the attempt is to get 50% Spanish, 50% English.
And why did you think that was important at that time?
Because there were no other bilingual schools
Okay.
on the north side.
So, I believe I heard you say before that you had, let's say, encouraged the school board, is that the right word, to start this school?
Yeah.
Okay, what steps did you take to encourage the school board to start the school?
I made some phone calls
Okay.
and encourage other people to make phone calls.
Okay. Who'd you make phone calls to?
I know one was Mary Bill's. I can't remember the names of the other school board members at this time.
Okay, but it's fair to say that you made phone calls to school board members.
It's true.
Okay. These are direct one-on-one calls?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other forms of advocacy?
Forms of advocacy. I don't understand the question.
Fair enough. So the subject that we're talking about right now is related to starting a school fraternity and advocacy related to starting that and getting the school board to do that. So did you use any other forms of advocacy other than phone calls, just direct phone calls to board members to start a school fraternity?
A number of the people who were interested testified at one school board meeting.
Okay. Did you testify?
I assume I did. You'd have to check the records. I quite frankly can't remember that far back.
Great. And how did the testimony come about?
People advocated for the school.
So was there any petition signed, for example?
I don't think so.
Okay. But so just mostly direct phone calls?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point in time, you were an employee of MPS, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as a teacher.
Correct.
So did you have direct access? I guess no. Look back up. How did you have direct access to school board members at that time?
I'm not sure. I mean, I called them up on the phone.
Okay. Is their phone number publicly available?
I'm not sure if it was back then.
Okay. Fair enough. When you talked to these board members, do you think they knew you were an employee of Milwaukee Public Schools at that time?
Yeah.
That's a foreign question, plus for speculation. Go ahead and answer. Sorry.
Yes, they knew I was,
Okay, why do you think that?
because I told them I was working at, I assume I told them I was working at, View Elementary School.
Can you say that? That's-
View or View.
Yeah, okay.
French.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I got it. So, and do you have any connection to Rethinking Schools?
I was a founding editor.
Okay. And do you have any connection now?
I remain on the editorial board, and I'm also on the board of directors.
Okay, and what is Rethinking Schools?
Quarterly magazine and nonprofit publishing house.
Okay. Is there any particular focus of the publication?
Social justice,
Okay. What does that mean?
all sorts of things,
Great. Can you give us some examples then? That might be helpful.
and discrimination.
Okay. That's one example. Do you have any others?
Promote accurate teaching in our schools.
Okay. You said accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I just want to focus on that word for a second, because sometimes when people think of accurate, I think they mean directly to the curriculum. Is that what you mean by accurate?
I would say that accurate to me means, in terms of this context, an honest appraisal of what's happened in the past.
Okay. Okay. And one of those things, correct me if I'm wrong, that's happened in the past is injustice. Is that fair to say? Okay. And I realize that's pretty vague, so let me narrow that down. We can even say at MPS, it's fair to say that in the past there's been injustice, right?
Check the form questions, broad and vague. Also lacks foundation, but I have the answer to
Repeat the question.
Sure. When we're talking about accuracy, and we're talking about accuracy to history, right? That's what I've got down in history, what happened in the past. Accuracy to what happened in the past. My question to you is it accurate that there's injustice at MPS in the past?
Same objections.
I'll give one example, which was segregation
Good.
that was ruled by the federal courts as being illegal.
Good. In Milwaukee, specifically.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. So, do you know Larry Miller?
Yes, I do.
Okay, who is Larry Miller?
He's a former teacher and school board member.
Okay, and how do you know Larry Miller?
Through my work in schools, in Rethinking Schools.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that. You know Larry Miller from your work as a teacher, is that fair?
For my, yeah, I'll say,
Okay, and he was also a teacher and you were a teacher?
yeah.
Okay, and then you all know him from Rethinking Schools, did I understand that right? Okay.
Yes.
Any other capacity?
Well, he was on the school board for 2 years, while the first 2 years I was on the school board.
And he was president then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think what I'm understanding is while you were on the school board for 4 years, 2 of those years Larry Miller was the president, 2 of those years you were the president, fair?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you know Missy Zombor?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Missy Zombor?
And Missy works for Rethinking Schools.
Okay, she's employed by Rethinking Schools, is that fair to say? Okay. And just for the benefit of the court reporter, do you know how to spell Zombor?
Zombor.
Okay. And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
That's good.
So, she's employed by Rethinking Schools. Does she have any connection to MPS that you know of?
Yeah, she's a school woman.
Okay. And the seat that you held before, that's called the at-large seat, is that fair?
Yes,
Okay, what seat does Missy hold now?
that's the.
Okay. Did you ever advocate for Missy to hold that seat at any time?
I supported her.
Okay, did you endorse her?
Yes.
Okay. How did you endorse her? Verbally. Did you donate any money?
Yes.
Okay. How about through Rethinking Schools? Did you support Missy Zombor through Rethinking Schools at all?
No.
Okay. Did Rethinking Schools support Missy Zombor, to your knowledge?
The people in charge of her business section of Rethinking Schools hired her.
Okay.
So,
But there was no formal support for her campaign, is that fair?
by Rethinking Schools does not support. It's a a 501c3.
I get it, okay. So it just so happens that one of its employees is on the school board?
That's a fact.
Okay. And I just want to be clarified on your answer. It's a fact, because I think my question was confusing. It's a fact that there's no connection between her employment at Rethinking Schools and her position on the school board. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Have you written any books at any time?
I've co-edited some books.
Okay. And just for my benefit, what's the distinction between co-editing and authoring?
Co-editing is when we get a group of articles together, probably different authors. If I was authoring a book, it would be my writing completely.
Okay. So the publications that you're associated with are through co-editingship, not necessarily through authoring. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, so can you give us an example of one of the publications that you co-authored?
Rethinking Columbus,
Okay, what is that about?
about Columbus, and how his myth should be rethought in the schools.
Okay, so that's Columbus, the historical figure, not necessarily the city of Columbus.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So what, for example, are some ways that we're encouraged to rethink Columbus from that publication?
To look at it from a Native American perspective.
Okay. Now, when I see you formally opening the school board meetings, there would always be a opening regarding giving, let's say, honor to Native Americans. Do you recall that?
As it's called a land acknowledgement.
A land acknowledgement? Okay. Do you know how that came to be?
I proposed it. The school board voted unanimously in favor.
Okay.
But it was written by people in the First Nations Studies program in Milwaukee Public Schools. I did not write this proposal.
Okay. And I just want to pick that last thing apart. You said it was written by, you said First Nations, and then I don't think I understood the rest of that. Can you explain?
There's a First Nations program in the Milwaukee Public Schools.
Okay.
And I asked them to provide some language, and they did.
Okay. And do you know who heads that group?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. So, do you, because part of what I'm not quite understanding is, I call it a group, but is this, is there teachers, who's working in the First Nations area at MPS?
If one person is broad and vague, go ahead and answer if you can.
There is probably 4 or 5 people working there. I don't know.
Okay. And do you know where they're located?
A school on the south side. I can't remember.
Okay. So how did this idea come to you to propose?
I saw various examples throughout the city and broader public organizations who are adopting that.
Okay. And were you a school board member at that time?
I saw that before I was a school board member, but once I was a school board member, I thought it would be good for the school board to also do that.
Okay. So it's fair to say that you saw the issue prior to your role on the school board, but you didn't act on it until you were a school board member. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so this was basically this acknowledged land
Land acknowledgement.
acknowledgement. that's a request from you to the First Nations group to give you a wording for this acknowledgement. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you communicate that request?
Probably by phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, part of what I guess I'm wondering is, did you talk directly with an MPS employee at that time?
Check the form question is broad and vague. That's your speculation of what I answered.
Well, let me withdraw that question then. Did you communicate with an MPS employee, if you know, at that time?
See objection.
At that time, I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know how your request to have this land acknowledgement drafted was communicated to the First Nations group?
Probably by phone.
And do you know who would have communicated it?
I don't understand your question.
Sure. Is this a message from you directly to First Nations, or is there an intermediary?
Directly to First Nations.
Yeah. Thank you. So again, this is you as school board member communicating directly with MPS employees. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. Is
With,
it?
with one employee.
Thank you for that clarification. And is it fair that that person would have been the head of First Nations group, for lack of a better word?
Yes, but I don't know what the word head means in that case. I think they have different names for different positions.
Sure, and I don't know if it's a senior director or director, going from there, so that's why I used the word head. Was that?
Yeah.
We're okay, on the same page there, thank you.